Well, hello everyone. How you guys doing? It's been a while since I've done a solo episode, and I've been putting this one off for a long time. And I didn't know when I would do it or how I would do it, but I don't like scripting things, so I'm just gonna go off the cuff here and just speak what I think. And so this is the 100 episode reflection. So that even feels crazy to say. It's weird. I never thought when I started this that I'd still be doing it 3 years later, and I would actually have done 100 episodes. That's fucking crazy, man. um, so I just wanted to reflect on 100 episodes, talk to you guys about what I've learned, the mistakes I've made, advice, some of the struggles of podcasting, what I plan to do moving forward, and a couple other things. So let's start at the beginning. So you probably have heard me say this a million times, but I'll say it again. So I started my podcast because, again, living in Amsterdam, 2017 to 2020, I went through a lot, and I went on this, personal development journey, as they say. And during that time, like I've said before, podcasts were a big influence on me. Just the fact that you can sit and listen to these two people talk, and people that you would dream of speaking to, people who have so much knowledge and wisdom, completely changed my life, man. It really did. And I love talking to people. So I kind of just wanted to, give back. I remember I've had, reflecting back, like the number of conversations I've had with my friends that were like hours long and so deep and stuff. And I would think like, if only we recorded this, there's so much value here that someone else could 100% relate to. So the podcast just seemed like a natural thing for me to do. That's how it felt. I started in March 2020 when I moved back from Amsterdam. And then obviously COVID hit. So no one was hiring anyone. And so it kind of was just like the perfect storm. No one could do anything, so the only option people had or to stay connected was to talk. And learning how to do my podcast, I want to give a big shout out to Jamil, because he's the one who came over and sat me down and walked me through the entire process from start to finish. So shout out Jamil, and he has his podcast, Hamburger Generation, guys. It's hilarious, so make sure to check that out. And I never want to forget the people who helped me, on my way. He's the one who helped me start, and I've had along my journey, if you want to call it. So many people have helped me. So many people have introduced me to guests, told me about how to post on social media, and learning about this whole machine. Podcasting is a lot more than people think it is. It takes a lot of work, especially if you don't have a team behind you. Like you see all these big podcasts, these guys have teams, man, that do the research, the production, the lighting, the set design, the studio. So what you see here behind me is the set, if you want to call it, that I've created or I'm trying to make better. So this is the first time I'm finally using it. And I've been putting off recording this episode for so long because I was never happy with how it looked and so on. And honestly, one of the biggest reasons that I haven't done that it took me a while to do this was, again, the usual stuff that I've talked about before, imposter syndrome, insecurity, what will people think, and so on. It's weird because half of me doesn't give a fuck and the other half really cares, if I'm being very honest. So I'm trying to, get back to the fuck it man, if you want to call it that, the guy who just does it because he thinks he needs to do it. And that's what's important. This experience with my podcast has been the best decision I've ever made. It gave me the opportunity to meet so many people. Besides anything, I tell everyone start a podcast. Besides that, it's your own platform and you want to tell your own story. It's like you can literally talk about whatever the fuck you want. It gives you, it's a gateway to speak to people that you never would have thought you would have spoken to before. So, I've spoken to people from all over the world. By now, these days, I struggle to find new topics to talk about because I feel like I've talked to everyone about everything. I believe what I love about my podcast is I'm a very curious person, and I love learning. So those two and meeting someone new kind of all satisfy like they fulfill me. Let's put it that way. It fulfills me. And doing this podcast, the amount I've learned has been priceless. I've learned so much about so many different industries. So it's really broadened my knowledge as, just as a person, for my business, for marketing, for food, for health, for in every single way. There's so many people I've spoken to on the podcast that ended up, either doing the music for my intro, or now my personal trainer, or for my wife, for example. Our first, if you want to call it date, that wasn't a date, was inviting her on my podcast. So if anything, if my podcast, besides all the good things that it's given me, if it gave anything, it gave me my wife, Lana. So it was definitely the right move. So reflecting, I know I'm going a bit all over the place. It's just hard to keep my thoughts, but that's just, you're getting a glimpse of who I am and how I think. The biggest, I believe you learn the most from people and through speaking to people and being curious. So for a long time, people would ask me, who's my audience? Who is that? And my answer was always what I expected it to be, which was young working professionals, between the ages of, let's say, 20 to like 40, that seems to be the sweet spot. But then I did a workshop with a guy called Chris Doe a couple months ago, and he gave me probably one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten. He's like, if you don't know who your audience is, think about the people you hate. They're the opposite of that. So who's my audience? My audience are, or who I'd like it to be, are people like me, people who are very curious, people who want to learn about so many different things, people who are trying to, improve themselves. I'm not sitting here trying to speak, as an expert, or I have everything figured out, or not like that. Not at all. But it's just the basis of who you are. Are you that kind of person? If you are, then this show is perfect for you. All I'm trying to do is give back to people. So if there's an episode that you listen to, if it's about finance, sports, golf, whatever the fuck it was, as long as you either enjoyed it or you took something away that helped you or you learned something, that's all I'm trying to do, man. I'm giving back. That's what everyone's trying to do with their podcast. Whether you're a business, whether you're an individual, you're trying to elevate your brand, elevate yourself. You're trying to tell a story. You're trying to show people who you are. It's the perfect platform to do that. And what's interesting about that is throughout my podcast, I've gotten a couple times from some very close people that they say I'm not myself on the podcast. And I do get what they mean. Obviously, when I've spoken to my friends on the podcast, it's been completely different. It's easy, it's flowy, we have that relationship. But 90% of my guests have come through like LinkedIn. We've never met before, we've never spoke, or they'd come over to the house and we'd record. So for me to be 100% like myself, I guess, was a challenge and still something that I'm trying to get better at. I'd say what I'm doing right now, this is probably the most Khaled you're gonna get. This is who I am. And I would tell anyone, reflecting back on my podcast, it has been the best decision I ever made. The people I met gave me, a voice, gave me a brand, allowed me to connect with people, and allowed my business to be built. If it came from this, I never planned to be doing what I'm doing right now, which is my consulting. So working with companies and brands, helping them launch podcasts, launching and hosting, the American University of Dubai podcast, which I'm incredibly proud of as well. So I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've worked in the corporate world. I worked, with startups as well. I was doing sales. Even here for a year, I was doing sales with an agency, running their sales for them. But sales was something that I enjoyed, but I never really liked the process of it. It never gave me the validation that I wanted or needed. But now I'm selling again. But at least this time I'm selling me. I'm selling Khaled. I'm selling my business. I'm selling my expertise. So it's a lot easier and it feels more right, if you want to, if let's put it that way. So my consulting business came because I was doing podcasting for so long. Then people started reaching out and asking, hey, Khaled, I need help launching a podcast. And I would just do it, I wasn't charging anyone. But as, the circles got bigger and the people that I was helping got further out, Lana was telling me, Khaled, you need to start charging people for this. So that's kind of how it started. One thing led to another, and here we are. So that's kind of how the consulting got started. And now we've done 100 episodes. That's fucking crazy, man. I still can't believe it. If I was being honest to say, am I where I thought I'd be after 100 episodes? Absolutely not. So half of me is incredibly proud and half of me is very disappointed. And now I'm coming on to the mistakes that I've made, doing my podcast. One of the biggest mistake I've made with my podcast is two things. So my podcast is supposed to be a weekly podcast, first of all. So my first year, I did 52 episodes in a row. Didn't miss a single week. And then I took some time off for a while. I felt like I just needed a break. And then when I came back, and since then, this has now been 2 years, I haven't been as consistent, which bothers me. And it was not all, sometimes it was guest related that I didn't have a guest. And a lot of times is I had the content, I just didn't post it. I was never happy with, the production of it, the video, the quality of the video. I always wanted like the 3 camera setup and the lights. Now I have that, which is great. And even with that, there's still a lot to improve. But I was never happy with all of that. And my podcast is a video podcast. And I didn't upload an episode of the video from episode 54 until 100. So that's 46 episodes of video content, 46 hours, maybe more, that no one ever saw. And every time I wouldn't do it, it would just get worse. And I'd feel worse and worse and worse until I reached the point recently that, so when it comes to the video side, I'm supposed to upload videos all the time, and I didn't. So I didn't upload for 46 episodes. That's fucking crazy. And it's a video podcast. I should be ashamed of myself, honestly. I really, really should. And I'm very disappointed in that. But, I was just never happy with it, the quality of the video and so on. But now I took a break and I stopped releasing. I have episodes ready. I've had episodes ready for like a month or two. And some really, really great ones. But I needed to stop to re-upload all of those episodes. And that took a while. It took a while to upload 46 hours of content, to YouTube. But now when you go on the page, it's a beefy page. That's how my podcast should look. Whether the video quality, unfortunately, I can't go change the past. It is what it is. The location was what it was. The camera was what it was. But, that's in the past. But it's there and it should be there, And I think recently I've realized I think I'm a bit of a perfectionist. And that's not a good thing, by the way. It's a double-edged sword, because part of me wants it to be perfect. But the other part of me, because I want it to be perfect, I don't do it. And that's stupid. It just is, honestly. Because then I haven't moved anywhere. I didn't progress. And that has been, that in combination with not marketing myself, I always thought if I just kept releasing content, just releasing the podcast, releasing that like 2-minute clip on like Instagram from a whole hour, that would be enough. That would be enough to like build my brand and so on. But I've realized, and man, when you just fucking all the signs are telling you something and you just don't do it. You're watching a podcast, okay, content creation, this is what you need to do. And then you're like, yeah, but I don't do it. That's been me, man. And not marketing myself is so fucking stupid, bro. It frustrates me so much. But there's a lot more to it, of course. There's, internal biases, internal struggles, whatever that come with that. But those have been my two biggest mistakes, guys. The fact that I didn't upload the videos like I said I would, like I should have. Okay, that's completely wrong. It's a video fucking podcast. Number 2 is I didn't market myself. It's always been insecurity. That's always been there. It's still there now. But I've just reached a point that I'm like, bro, fuck this insecurity shit. I'm done. I just have to be that like social whore. You know what I mean? And I mean that on social media. I just got to be everywhere, got to be commenting, got to be doing this, because if I don't, man, no one's gonna know who the fuck I am or what I do. So I just have to do it. So not marketing myself as well. And number 3 is not being, and this is probably the most important one, is not being consistent the past 2 years, because that is a disservice to my audience and that is unacceptable. So on that part, besides the rest is on my side, but on that part, I definitely apologize to my audience, to the people that listen to all the episodes. I really appreciate you guys listening. It means the world to me. And when I get that one message from someone like, Khaled, thank you for that episode, that really, really helped me. That's all I want. You gave me that, I'm happy for a year. That's all I'm looking for. I wanted to move on to what advice I would give to others when it comes to podcasting. Number 1 is, look, it doesn't have to be something like a serious thing that you do and so on. But if you're going to do it, and if you really have something that you're passionate to talk about, then be on your game. I'm a one-man show, so I've done for every episode, the research, the outreach, the recording, the editing, the social media side, every single thing. I do it all myself. While that on one hand has been a good thing because it forced me to learn so much, it also probably, if I got people on board that were better than me at doing those things, I probably would have gone a lot further. I would have been further down the line and had more time to strategize and think about, what I would do and what I should do. So my advice would be, just if you're going to start a podcast, just enjoy it, have fun with it. It doesn't have to be something super serious. Someone wants to give me really good advice. He's like, look at it as like a season. Do a pilot, do like 3 to 5 episodes. See how you feel. It could be solo, and there's so many different types of podcasts, guys. It's not just like I interview a person. There's story podcasts, all those true crime stuff that people absolutely love. There's comedy stuff, it's just some guys sitting fucking around, and it does well. There's shows like mine that are more, on the educational side. That's what I'm trying to do. So find what you like, find which resonates with you. Test it out, do it. You like it, great. You don't, fuck it, don't continue it. It's not the end of the world. It's crazy that there's a statistic that over 90% of podcasts, most podcasts, don't get past the third or fifth episode. That blew my mind. I was like, wow, how did you do that? Like, how did you stop so early? Because obviously when I started, I had 0 interview experience. I've never interviewed a person before in my life. So when I look back at those old episodes and I look at now, I'm like, fuck, man, we've come a long way, which is a good thing. And learning how to interview, learning how to, very recently, I've had two interviews that were unbelievably challenging in completely different ways, completely different people. One was very well known. Another one was very academic and detailed and stuff. So even now I'm still getting challenged, but it forces me to grow. And that's why I do this at the end of the day. It forces me to grow. And I think when you speak to people, like I was saying earlier, that's when you grow the most. I want to be 100% clear about this, just so everyone's aware, okay? Do I want to help people? Absolutely. Yes, I do. That's the goal of my podcast. But at the same time, I'm number 1. What do I mean by that? Like, I'm fucking selfish with this because it's about what I want to learn and not necessarily about what the audience wants to learn about. Because if I start doing it the other way, I don't want to get blocked into a certain type of topic that people only want to listen to this kind of stuff, because that's what I don't want. And I'm never going to do that, because the podcast for me is my key, not only to meeting so many different people and networking, is to learn as much as possible about a million different things. Doesn't mean I won't have more episodes about like the same topic, but I want it to always be different people, because that's where I learn the most. So I do my podcast for me first, for Khaled, number 1. I pick the guests. If they do something cool and I find it interesting, that's the only metric you need to come on my show. That's it. You have to do something cool or what I think is cool, and that's it. And I'll reach out to you and have you on the show. It's Khaled first and the audience second. And the reason I do that is because this is something I love to do. And I never want to feel controlled by a person or a group of people about what I can and can't talk about, or should or shouldn't talk about, or want to and don't want to talk about. So just so it's clear, Khaled number one. I do it for me first. My podcast is for me first, and my audience is number two. That's how it's always going to be. But I hope through what I'm doing, that's why it's called Open House, guys, that through my curiosity and through my interest in learning about certain different things, hopefully you will fucking learn about something new too. That's it. That's all I'm talking about. And I don't want to keep going on, guys, for too long. We've already been speaking for about, I don't know, maybe like 20 fucking minutes now or something. So I just wanted to round it off. It's been 100 episodes. That's crazy. You know, when people say like, oh, I did that 100 times, now I can fucking say that, man. And that makes me very proud. I want to say thank you so much to my guests, to all the people who have come on the show, who've been a part of this journey with me. I wouldn't be where I am without them. You know, it's my show, but it's together that we make the show great. So thank you so much to all my guests. Thank you. I don't even have the words to say how grateful I am and thankful I am for my audience and for the people who listen to my show. Thank you for giving me your time. Thank you for allowing me to, you know, be a medium for you to hopefully gain something. I really appreciate it. It's a responsibility that I take very seriously. I want to say a big thank you to all the people and all my friends and family that have supported me, you know, this whole time and pushed me. Funnily enough, when I first started my podcast back in 2020, I remember sitting with my parents and I'm like, hey guys, you know, I'm going to start a podcast. They're like, what in the fuck is it's a podcast? Who's going to listen to you? Why you're just Khaled? Like, why the fuck do people listen to you? And I'm like, you know, that's a fair point. It was a fair point. And it's probably still is a fair point. But it's funny now how things have changed. And now like my mom will like suggest guests to me and stuff. It's crazy how this passion thing that I started myself just because I like to do it has now become something that every business, everyone's brother, sister, mother, cousin wants to start a podcast, which is crazy. And I'm very fortunate to be in the position that I am. And looking at the future, my promise to you guys, and I want you to hold me accountable to this, is I will be consistent. So that means weekly. And if I'm not, you fucking message me and you shit on me and I fucking deserve it. All right? So my promise is to keep it weekly, to be consistent, because that's what the show is and that's what you guys deserve. I promise to always try to improve the show, get better, bring more interesting guests, you know, just, you know, take it to the next level, you know, have like some consistent production for fucking once in my life, you know, try to get the lighting better, try to do all these things. And yeah, guys, I think that's a nice place to, you know, round it off. Again, thank you so much for everything. I couldn't do it without you. And I'm very excited about phase 2 or the next 100, let's say. The road to 1,000. Let's call it that. The road to 1,000 episodes. Here we come. Thank you so much, guys. Much love as always. Much love. And as you know, as always, hope it helps. Peace.